This is Tracy Allen, aka 959, and welcome to the live show of What Do You Do? Now we're recording this live as well as we are actually live. And I'm sitting here with the lovely, the wonderful Yvette Porter Moore. Now, Yvette Porter Moore, I want to read you her bio. She's got some great information here. So let me share with you who this lady is that I'm sitting next to. And we're all up on each other because it's chilly up in here in Starbucks. So Yvette Porter Moore is a native Californian. She's lived here for 41 years. She's a proud parent of 3 adult children and 1 teenager. She can also call herself a grandmother with 3 grandchildren living in Arizona. Yvette has degrees in cross-cultural studies and human development, but forfeited a career to be a stay-at-home mother to her 4 children. As a result, Yvette has held various jobs to work around her children's schooling. She's worked for elected officials in state government, substituted as a special education assistant at various schools in the Mesa Spring Valley School District, and worked at various agencies advocating for teenage pregnant and young adults, young parents. I'm trying to spit that out. Yvette's last temporary position was working for the U.S. Bureau, ensuring that everyone was counted for the census in 2010. Yvette has also successfully campaigned to have an elementary school in San Diego to be named after her late father, Dr. Walter J. Porter, and during the process formed the Walter J. Porter Education and Community Foundation to support extracurricular activities at the school. Yvette's current interests are African American history, with emphasis in genealogy, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Yvette was adopted at 4 months old, and she successfully reunited with her biological mother and her father's family over 21 years ago. And Yvette is currently tracing her birth family's heritage and researching the ancestry of her parents that raised her. With Yvette's background in genealogy, Yvette has traveled to Sugar Hill, Harlem, New York, Worcester, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., and Orlando, Florida to research various historical archives on the ancestry of her mother's family, the Cullys. Yvette Porter Moore is currently interviewing individuals and researching in order to write a book about her mother's family. The book is titled The Cullys, An African American Legacy. Yvette has been a member of various civic and non-profit organizations over the years, but she likes to say that she is on sabbatical. She has condensed her list to one organization, the San Diego African American Genealogy Research Group, of which she is the membership chair. So with all that being said, I thank you, Yvette, and welcome to What Do You Do show live.
Tracy, for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to share the information that I have to your guests.
Awesome, thank you. Now we've got a lot of information to cover here, and like I said, we're doing this live as well as we're going to be recording this as well. So we're going to have a video put up on my What Do You Do show channel, and we're going to be participating with you guys. So if you have questions, make sure that you put that in the chat room there so that we can answer your questions, and it'll make for an even more fun show for everybody to participate. All right. So now, Yvette, we're going to go ahead and get started here. But tell me, first and foremost, what sparked you, your passion to be able to do this research?
Well, Tracy, first of all, as you mentioned, I am adopted, and when I turned about 18 years old, I decided to do a research on my birth family, trying to find out who they were. So I was able to get connected in it about 21 years ago. And but that's not what really sparked my interest in genealogy. What sparked my interest is my mother, who was from New York, was writing her memoirs, and her dream was actually to author a book, and she was naturally a writer since she majored in writing and journalism and English. So one of the things that happened with her was that first of all, she passed away before she actually realized her dream. And one of the things that I had told my mom that I would help her to do before she had passed was to do some research on her family line so that she could have something substantial to back up what she was saying, being from Harlem. So she wanted some background information on her family since she did not have all that information. So I just think that it's really important that when you have a dream that you pursue it. And since my mom didn't live out her dream, I thought that, maybe I should just go ahead and continue that. So I gathered up all of her information, journals or whatnot, and I decided that I was going to go to Harlem and do some background information. So, but basically that is how, I got interested in doing some research on my mom's side of the family.
Now, did you have anybody to support you in trying to do all of this?
Well, I did. I actually joined a group, which you mentioned, the Genealogical Group of San Diego, which is basically African Americans that come together and they share what the things are that they're doing, to find their lineage and whatnot. So that was my support group, and I noticed that they were doing a lot of work. And for me, I was interested, but I wasn't doing everything that they were doing at that time. So I was just trying to get some information on how to do research.
And for those of you that are just joining us again, we're talking with Yvette Portermore. We're discussing genealogy, tracing your ancestry. And so, if you guys have questions, make sure that you put that in the chat, and we'll make sure that we answer your questions to the best of our abilities here. Now, let me ask you, how does a person get started in being able to trace their roots?
Okay, one of the things that you can do, or you should do, is to gather up all the information that you already know. So that would mean birth certificates, death certificates, names of family members. Because a lot of people start with their direct line, and so you would want to gather all that information and then and write it all down, and then you would want to contact family members and ask about different stories about your family, and ask them if they have any information on your family members.
Right. Now, what kind of stories, since you mentioned stories, what kind of stories were you told that really just kind of got you fascinated with who your people were?
Okay, well, the one thing that, I have certain individuals in my family that have been very creative and been out in the entertainment business. So my Aunt Zara, my great Aunt Zara Coley Brown, who played on the Jeffersons, I was interested in her. And then I also have a great uncle who was Zara's brother that played with Count Basie, Cab Calloway, and some other well-known jazz musicians. And I wanted to know more about them. I did meet my Aunt Zara when I was younger, and I've spoke with her on the phone many times.
Now, was she the one that played the mother?
Yes, she was the mother. Yes, she was the mother.
George Jefferson's mother? Oh my gosh.
Yes. So, those are two individuals that really got me interested, along with one of my mother's mother, Agnes, my grandmother. She sewed for a well-known singer, Marian Anderson, and others. And so the research was out there, and so I knew that I would be able to find it, but it would take some time to get some of it.
Right. Now let me ask you this. I'm always fascinated by watching television today, and every time you turn around, there's people coming on the TV trying to find out, is this my baby's daddy? And so for someone that doesn't know who their father is, they're just not sure. What advice, if you have any, what advice would you give for someone that's just not even clear as to who their biological father is? Would you just start with the mother's side and go from there? How does that
Okay,
work?
well, one thing with genealogy, you start with what you know. If your mother is still living, then I would say, ask your mother, say, this is something that I'm doing. I really need to know, and any clues that you have of who my father is, can you please, divulge the information. So I would get that information. If not, I mean, that's a brick wall that's really hard to get around. But one of the things, since DNA is a very powerful thing, it's a possibility that you might be able to locate your family through DNA samples. And they have like 23andMe and other DNA tests that are like on Ancestry.com or whatnot, and they can pinpoint, a general area of where your family members are, who they might be. I mean, because there's markers or whatnot that will actually show. So you might end up having to contact them and kind of doing your own research. But I mean, there's always a way of making it happen.
I just think it's such a relevant thing because, there are just some people out there that are not clear who their father is. And sometimes it makes you feel like that's a brick wall. Like, I'll never be able to find my family tree, when we start thinking about the fact that, we as African Americans don't know, where we come from exactly. And then you're not sure who your father is. So then it's like, well, why should I even do the research because I don't have any clarity on anything.
Right.
So,
well, I kind of understand what you're saying, Tracy, because being adopted, I didn't have that information.
Right.
I just went with a prayer and was creative in being able to search out who my birth parents were. And one of the things that being adopted, the initial thing is I knew where I was born because it was on my amended birth certificate. So really you just start with what you know. And then I had an idea of where the adoption agency was because of my birthplace. And so what I had to do was I had to write the adoption agency. And usually they do not give information on your identifying information. They usually just give non-identifying information. But there was a breakthrough, and I was given my birth name, my first name, and so the search was on.
Right.
So I mean, there's resources out there like indexes, birth indexes, and that was the one of the first steps of looking there the day that children were born on that day in this certain county. And I also hired somebody because I didn't know where else to go, and within a day or two I received a phone call with the information. So the search was still on because I had to find them.
That's all right. Now let's see, Olivia's got a question. She says she remembers that lady on the Jeffersons. Let's see, I have a friend and also myself is trying to trace our Indian heritage. Do you know anything about going to the Mormon Church genealogy department there?
Okay, I'm not sure exactly where or what part of the state you're in or the country, but one of the things that they do have available is the Mormon Church, the Latter-day Saints. They all have a history family center, and which is full of records. I believe that they are the organization that holds a vast amount of information, so they are there to help and guide you in finding that information out. But I mean, first of all, you need to know exactly where your Indian heritage may be, because within the Indian or the Native American history, it just depends on the locale. You can't just search anywhere because it's just wide.
And this is Olivia here in San Diego, so.
Yes, and it just depends on where your family was at the time. So I would probably start with the Family History Center.
So like the tribal part is when you say finding out the Indian side?
Right, you need to find out the locale and then find out what tribes are there or that, are in that area. And then do some research background on that
Okay.
information.
Okay. Thank you, Olivia, for that question. That was a good question. Now, where do I go to find birth, marriage, death certificates? Where's a good place to start to find that information?
Okay, well, with today's technology, we have Ancestry.com. A lot of it, you do have to have money. It's a paid subscription, but there's times when it's opened up. The other thing is if you go to your family research center, on the computers, the different databases are free. So they have different ones, and you can start putting the information in of I don't know, it all depends. Like if you're interested in who is my great grandfather,
Right.
and I have a first and a last name. So we have the census,
Yes.
and we have and so what I would do is input that information, and then there's a death index,
Okay.
and you can put that information into the database also.